I love to kick these off because this whole show is about, dealerships leveraging social media. And so far, I've basically had salesmen and sales managers doing this and being at the forefront. You're the first guest who's actually been the owner of the dealership leading the initiative, which I absolutely love that this is coming from the top down. What made you start taking social media so seriously for your dealership?
Just during COVID, as you know, that craziness kind of going on. TikTok started kind of taking off, and then Reels got launched. I think it was like September of 2020,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then that's when we started jumping in, doing Reels, just like pointer videos. And I saw the attention that it got, and at that point decided, hey, we need to like work on a strategy, build this out, and so far it's been doing really well. So
And this was completely your idea. Was this something like we got to be on this, guys? This is social media. This is
mhm.
the future. I find myself watching these. We need to be making them, not watching them.
Yeah, it to be honest, started with a friend of mine, Brett David in Miami, who has a Lamborghini dealership. Looking at his store's page and like their content videos, things like that they posted, and had a chat with him, and he gave me some like great ideas for it, and then assembled a team together with my friend Mia, who has a marketing agency, Maven managed, and then my buddy Derek, who's actually a movie director, and started scripting out kind of ideas, working on strategies for our content and everything else. So it kind of evolved over time.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's been a wild ride, and it's been fun, and it's a honest great way to connect with our customer base.
No, I mean, I love it. I feel like I know like I could probably walk through your dealership and know where a lot of things are just from the videos, and I've never been inside the four walls of your dealership. Now
Yeah, I
there's
think it's interesting because with social, one other point to bring up is that like that's where all the attention's going, and that's kind of what I spotted first. Because I could put an ad on TV, a radio spot in LA, it's going to get drowned out with the amount of people that are in this area, and the spend that goes into it. So this was a cool way to really grab that attention and keep it. And then it's cool being able to see that customer base really engage and like with our content all the way through.
What's really cool about social media too, to build on what you just said, let's say you're the three girls make an awesome video and you're a producer and you put together something phenomenal. I've actually went on your page and showed it to people. Now, if you did a TV ad and spent $1 million and I go, did you see that TV ad from Real Camino Chevrolet? And people go, no, not a lot of TV ads live online. So then I'm like, oh, you
Mhm.
should have saw it. It was like they were doing this, and the girls were cute, and it was like, but like with social media, I could send it to them, and then they could send it to
Yep.
their friend, and it spreads like wildfire. It's like, why wouldn't you be
Yep.
investing all your time and energy in social media? In my opinion,
Yeah,
there's a
because you can track,
that's
even
but
though it's very high level engagement, it's like high funnel. I mean, it's not low funnel. You're able to still track that, who's sharing it, the watch time, all that stuff, and then even clicks to our website. You can track all of that. And on a TV ad, I can see how many spots they gave me. So they gave me 50 spots a week or whatever the case may is in primetime news or sports or whatever. But I
Mhm.
don't know if 50 people engage with that ad or 50,000. And so
Yeah.
that's the hardest part going through that. And my dad always did traditional media, and my brother and I were, not against it, but just felt like digital was the way to go. And
Mhm.
so, like, with his support, helped kind of build this out. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree 100%.
So you have the three girls. I had their names memorized, and now we're having the podcast. So we got Sophie,
Yeah, Sophie, Anna, and Jessica.
Anna, and Jessica. So who was the first one that you said kind of helped you get it started?
Yeah, so Anna, so she's actually been with us, and I could have butchered this, yeah, but like she's been with us on and off like 13 years now, I want to say. So a long time. So she started doing TV commercials for us, like Spanish commercials, and
Oh,
was with us for a long time. A few years that she wasn't, and then after COVID, I asked her, "Hey, would you come back?" And then we started doing some commercials with her, and then that morphed into social. So she's the one that started it first, and we were doing like pointer videos. I don't know if you remember those. Like people would do like reels and talk about like features of a car or something. I don't know if
yeah. I
that
know
ever came
what
up
you're
to you.
talking about.
So we did that, and those started getting a lot of engagement. And then from there, I was like, "Hey, I think we need a sidekick for you. Like, I want to build out a storyline, you know."
Mhm.
And then ended up, I met Sophie at a boxing gym through like mutual friend.
Mhm.
And then I was like, "Hey, she, very funny, charismatic." I was like, "Hey, I think you'd fit perfect to have like a little sister for Anna." And then she came in, and they hit it off in like a second. So I knew, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna go somewhere." And then that was in 2021, And then what was it, last year? Then Jessica came in, and we have like the little three amigas,
Yeah.
so they really just had a really cool energy together, and like even off camera and everything else, like super close, tight knit and everything. And I think that's what really makes it work. So I know some people ask like spokesmodels or employees in the store, things like that. But I think just like Flo from Progressive or Geico or any of these big companies, they have spokesmodels
Hmm.
or spokespeople that'll be there to brand the business. And I think since I kind of identified, hey, they have the charisma, and I think that's really going to help us at the forefront to get that attention and build that brand awareness. That's the avenue that we went with.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I was slightly surprised, but not all too surprised to find out that they did not work in car sales or really for the
Hmm.
dealership, although they're paid somehow, some way from you guys. They
Hmm.
weren't employees, but that really didn't surprise me. They're beautiful girls. They're extremely good at acting. You can tell. It'd
Hmm.
almost be a disservice to them if they weren't actors, which they are. All three of them,
Hmm.
correct, or some type of acting role.
Yeah.
To your point, to the idea of, do you think dealerships need to outsource for this? Was this something you felt you had to do, or something you wanted to do to just have the highest level of quality production?
I think I wanted to do because you do want to on TV, especially, or whatever you're doing, any ads, you want to have people that have charisma. So it doesn't really matter how good somebody looks. I mean, all the girls are beautiful, but to even better personalities and charisma and everything else, they have that. And I can put a salesperson in front that sells 20, 30 cars a month. It doesn't mean that they're going to be able to capture the attention of the
Good.
clientele. And it doesn't matter male or female or whatever. It's like you have it, just like you've been able to build your page out. It's just like, do you have the spark? And my dad was always like that. He worked in a dealership in Hollywood, and he had actors that worked for him at the dealership selling cars back in the day at Hollywood Dodge.
Mhm.
So he was always very much of like, you have to have the charisma, and he had the spark and everything. I personally don't feel like I have that. I'm more right brained on how I operate and everything else. And so I was like, I rather put them at the forefront. And yeah, not every, like I mentioned, even for other dealers, maybe they have people they identify in the store that would love to do it and all that. My
Mhm.
team was more on the shy side. But what's cool is as this has evolved, we've been able to get our sales consultants, even sales managers, into the videos. And so they're still in it, in the world. But yeah, they're not going to be the main point people. So
No, I love that. And I think that's super important to get familiar faces in the videos, because now you have clients who have been to your store or haven't been to your store coming in. Oh, hey, I saw you in that video. And I
yeah,
think it just breaks barriers down and lets people know, look, I'm not this evil behind the curtain car sales manager or car salesman. I'm just a normal guy, just like you are. I think
yeah,
that probably goes a long way for your team and your staff and overall sales. I'm sure this is helping your sales, is it not?
yeah. Yeah, and exactly. And also, we have a long history. My dad started the store in 1976. So, having that repeat customer, coming back and everything through the years, he built all of that. And now, kind of, my job now and my brother and sister is like we're carrying on the legacy. So, that's what we get excited about. And it's cool having customers coming in. We even had a quick little side note. We had a couple guys come in from England the other day. They were visiting LA, and they're like, "Hey, are the girls here?" And then we're
Oh,
like, hey, sorry, like, they're not here and everything. But for a video to go that far, like for that reach wise, you wouldn't have that anywhere else. It's like cool to see that. And we see that people in service, people come in into sales and everything else. So it's just cool to see that connection. And even another story, I was on the phone with AT&T 2 days ago for my cell phone. And the gentleman's like, oh, can I get your email? And he's like, Camino Real Chevrolet. And he's like, hey, are you that guy on TikTok? And I was like, oh, like you're the car dealership, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I follow you guys. Like, I love your content. And then I was like, oh, awesome. Like, happy to hear. Like, where are you from? He's like, oh, I'm from Orlando. So, like, no other place are you going to be able to pull people, from all around the country and globally. Like, nobody would know Camino Real Chevrolet in England, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah. Anyway, quick side note, but
No, it's crazy, and I absolutely love it. Are you planning to do any type of like big meet and greet? I'm sure there's a lot of people who come in and ask for the girls, and being that they don't necessarily there on a day to day basis. I mean, are you thinking of doing like a big car show where it's come meet the girls? Are there any events like that planned?
yeah, we've thought about it. Our kind of logistical issue is that we're on a small acreage here. We're like 3.5 acres. And we did good volume for that size, but it's like, where am I going to move all my inventory? So we've done car shows in the past, but it's been a little bit difficult. So yeah, but it's been top of mind of like trying to set something up.
Yeah, we're doing a car side note too. We're doing a car show at my dealership, and we're like doing the math on like how many parking spots we have, how many cars are on our lot, where we have to move the cars, and how many people are coming. And like we're coming up like so short on parking spots. I was like our whole team has already decided we're gonna park up the street just to save 10 spots.
Wow.
Like, all right, so if all the guys park up the street and walk down to work or so, like that'll save 10 spots. So it is tough, and I can only imagine the turnout you would have with everyone wanting to meet those girls.
Yeah. Well, even like on November 15th, we are actually doing like a pop-up market here at the dealership. So it's our Camino Real little pop-up market my sister set up. And so we have small businesses and some food vendors and vintage clothing companies, little small businesses coming in. And it's going to be a cool little event that we're doing here. So we're excited about that. So it'll be a cool way to introduce.
That'll be really cool. Does your sister design the shirts, the one that I'm wearing now, or is this?
Yeah. She's the brains behind the operation. So yeah, designed all the merch, hoodies, t-shirts, hats. So yeah, it's been awesome. Like I said, we're family owned and operated. So my sister helps with all of our merchandise. And then my older sister, Lisa's our controller. And then my older brother's our VP. So it's a true, and I have nephews in the business as well. So it's a true family owned and operated, business.
And you guys are just at this one location?
Yeah. Just a single point.
I love a family business. I work for a family business as well, so I know the pros and the cons. The pros definitely outweigh the cons. But when you have a bunch of family members in the same building, I'm sure that could be a little hectic.
Yeah, no, especially with my schedule and a lot of stuff I'm doing. Like I wouldn't be able to do it without my brother and sister. So without their support, and even on social, like since day one, they've been very supportive. So yeah, you got to have the team behind you and everything else to make everything work. So
now I want to kind of dive into something I personally believe is to be successful on social media. You really have to put yourself out there. You got to be edgy. You got to have fun, satirical. And that's what I've been talking to my dealership about. I was like, look, if I just went up there and tried to sell people cars, I wouldn't get followers. I got to give them a reason to follow me. And, with the three girls, they're charismatic, they're funny, they have good hand gestures and the way they talk, and they're actors. They're really good at what they do. Have you received any slight pushback because, there might be a little, sexualization of women, which I personally see no problem with, but I could see how somebody, might have a problem with that. Has that ever been an issue with anyone on your team or even with manufacturers?
Not on our team. There's been like people in the comments or something like that, or like sending a review or something, but it's been literally, I could tell you in 4 years now, maybe like 2.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't try to we don't never try to overly sexualize the women at all. And if anything, we lean way more into comedy than we do, as you can tell from the skits. So, unfortunately, you're going to have some Karens out there that I guess might say anything, and any dealership or any business doing an ad. But we always try to keep it, family oriented. We are going to kind of toe the line if there's like something trending or whatever else, but we still try to be mindful of all that stuff too at the end of the day. So to balance it. Sometimes it's tricky.
I think you guys keep it extremely professional while having fun. But I could also see, if I was a Karen, how I could find that one little part that I could complain about. But I think you guys do an excellent job. I struggled with it early on in my social media career, was maybe taking things a little too far. I don't think you should make fun of people with bad credit. You can poke fun, but then there's like crossing that line. So I think you guys keep it.
Yeah, and I think the good thing with us is we balance it with the team. So when we have an idea, like I'll like bounce it off of Mia, my sister. We'll kind of see like, hey, what do we think? And even when we produce it, we'll even double check to be like, hey, is this gonna like offend anybody or cause a problem or anything else? But you can't think of it too much, to be honest, because it's just you're gonna have all these barriers. You're gonna get like writer's block too at the same time. So you kind of have to find that right balance. But yeah, it's never our intention. It's to keep people engaged. Because I tell people all the time, if I see an ad for a vehicle and it's $199 a month for a lease or something, that doesn't get me excited. Like that's not gonna like, oh, I'm gonna run into the store tomorrow. That's just keeping top of mind to remember as far as from a brand perspective. But that's not gonna get me running in. But if I can keep this storyline going and these videos going and this like content going and it's engaging to the customer, they're engaging with it, then I'm going to increase the likelihood the customer is going to return and buy from us or service their vehicle or whatever the case is. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I like preach to people that my social media is so big for me because I do get fresh clients, new people, people across the country. I get referrals from people I've never met, but most importantly, the people I do know and have sold are continuously coming back to see me. And I'm not this king follow up master. Every 90 days, I'm on the phone. No, they see my videos 6, 7 times a week, and it's impossible to forget about me.
Yeah.
You know, and you guys are doing the same. It's just like you're always in front of your customer base. So if they're thinking car, they think Chevy Camino or Chevy Real Camino.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, Real Chevy.
Yeah. Yeah. And we want to be, you know, top of mind for them when they're looking for their next purchase. So,
and that's all you can ask. And then, you know, some people want to do it radio, some people want to do it TV, some do want to do it newspaper, but social media is the best way to do it because you're expanding beyond your market.
Yeah. Yeah. And even that, you're just able to reach them more because if you're doing really well on radio or TV, it's like stick with it. But if you kind of see it kind of falling off because listeners, if you look into Nielsen ratings, everything, TV viewership's down, radio's down, right? Streaming's up, connected TV, and then social's up through the roof. Like the hours that people spend on their phone. I'm sure you see it at the store, right? That it's like, you know, you have to just go where the attention is. So, you know, and it's not hard to jump into it. It's just, you know, learning how to play in the sandbox and just engaging. And I'm lucky at my age being 36. You know, fortunate that I can do that and I've grown up with social. So then that's easy for me to translate, you know, building a strategy into versus maybe some other dealers or GMs or anything.
I love it. Tell me a little bit about the process of actually recording, coming up with ideas, production, posting, all that goes into social media and some of the challenges you face and how you and your family and your team have overcome them.
Yeah, so we do, we kind of try to batch our content. So we'll shoot twice a month. And we'll have a call like end of the month leading into the next month, going over like, you know, what do we want to focus on? What do we want to talk about? All that stuff. So I'll speak with the director, with Derek and Mia, and we'll go through like ideas for not only our showroom skit, but then also for just regular content. So if we want to do running footage of vehicles or incentive offers or whatever it is, or just in educational content, going over, you know, options of a new vehicle, we kind of plan that all out and we build a Google Doc. And then, you know, we just schedule with the girls. And right now we're shooting twice a month. So we can probably make anywhere between 16 and 20 videos in that time frame of those two. So it'd be too hard to kind of shoot, you know, more than that. Sometimes if we need to, we'll, you know, add in a few more, but that's kind of how we batch it together and shoot it. And now we've been doing this already 3 years, you know, so everyone's pretty much like, you know, we're kind of dialed in on making sure it's done efficiently and everything else. So yeah, that's our process.
Now, I know a lot of dealership owners are listening, and I just literally had this conversation with the owner of my dealership who is now trying to do a Beyondy Lincoln Instagram because he's seeing the success I'm having. And, you know, of course, in his mind, he's thinking, what if Russ left the dealership? Well, then we wouldn't be getting the views we're getting. So, you know, of course, he wants to piggyback off of what I've built, which I think is a great idea because I've piggybacked off of his building, location, you know, the light bill, the water, I mean, everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a free background. So I'm totally on board with helping him. But he is an older school car sales guy, Wall Street guy, and he is just so stuck in the what is my ROI on this? If I pay a social media company $5,000 a month plus production or 10 grand a month, what is my ROI? And I'm like trying to tell him, like, you cannot really track it. You can try, but you like really, it's just something you got to be doing. Like, what's your ROI on the janitor? I don't know. You know, the place is clean.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're not losing business because of it. How, as the owner of the dealership, of course, you can make your own decisions, I'm sure. But like, how do you justify these costs and try to at least come up with an ROI, or do you not do that at all?
Yeah, it really, to be honest, hasn't been focused on ROI. I mean, of course, we want to increase sales. That's the goal, right? But from day one, where I mentioned my brother and I didn't really believe too much in traditional because you could run a commercial, and I don't know how your owner runs it, but like he could go spend $20,000 a month on TV ads. But unless you're like your salespeople are really managing the phones and every up that comes in, that you're truly sourcing it right? You want to believe 100%, but no store, I don't care how perfect you are, is going to get it right 100% of the time. Or the customer's not going to remember that they saw your ad, because they might see your ad, but they're going to go on Google, but they originally saw your commercial. So, but you're not going to be able to know that unless they tell you right away, hey, I love that new Aviator, whatever it is, I want to come in on it. So kind of same thing along those lines with social. Yes, I want to get punched 20 vehicles a month, 30 vehicles a month. But if I focus on that so much, then the creativity is out the door. And I'm not focusing on like, how am I going to build that brand awareness? Because I'm thinking down the line 2, 3, 5 years from now. I'm not thinking short term of like every month. Because if you like, oh, I didn't sell 5 cars out of Instagram, then you're going to stop investing money in it. But you don't do that when you're investing in TV, right? I've never heard a dealer say that on TV or radio, yet they can't track any of that. At least on social, you can set up a link tree on your page. I know I'm getting like over 1,000 clicks to my website a month, and I can even see the breakdown of new car, used car, service department, body shop, whatever the case is. And I can see that traffic. Yeah, I can't, because of CCPA, privacy laws, and all that stuff, I can't drill in automatically. The only way we're going to know is if when we go to speak to the customer, it's like, oh yeah, I saw you on Instagram, or casually bring it up, during the process when they're here at the lot. We're like, oh, have you been on our page? Oh yeah, that's how I found you guys. So really that's going to be the way that you're going to be able to source it. Or if they send us a direct message, and we've had customers DM us and end up buying cars, which I'm sure has happened with you too. So yeah, I don't tie a number to it. My goal, I'd love to get to like 70, 80 cars a month out of social, but being realistic, it takes a long time to build that brand and awareness with the customer to then get them to engage. And it's no different than, like I said, traditional media.
Have you thought about adding anything to your CRM to actually like in my CRM, there's sources. It's like Auto Trader, Car Gurus, Walk-In.
But we have TikTok and Instagram on there too.
Oh, really? Yeah. And your team's using it? Because it's funny, because the owner of my dealership was like, Russ, and this was an honest conversation. He really wasn't sure if I was selling cars off social media or not. And I said, what do you mean? I'm selling like a lot. He goes, well, and I gave them like this link that like they could track if somebody clicks the specific link in my link tree, and like they could track it. And it's like the link was like terrible at like actually measuring metrics.
Yeah.
And I had went through and I showed them like every deal, and it was like 28 deals in 3 months directly from social. Like half the people didn't even live in the state. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, why don't we just put in our CRM like to just so I could track that? And they were like, oh, it's a good idea. And I was like, I was just wondering if you did that as well.
Yeah. No, we've been sourcing it. So, but that's like, these are all incremental sales. Like, yeah, maybe it's not going to give you 30 deals a month, but slowly over time, and as you build that customer base, you're going to get referral and repeat traffic, right? But then it's like, how do you garner that next group of customers to come in, right, over time?
Exactly. So, I need to see you in a video eventually.
What was that?
Have you been in any videos yet?
Yeah, but just small parts. So I give Derek a lot of crap all the time, because he'll throw me in there like small lines and stuff. But yeah, I don't like being on camera. I'm more behind the camera. So
okay. Well, I appreciate you being on camera right now to do this. I've already, in 20 minutes, I've learned a lot from what you're doing. You've mentioned this is a family business, and your father's the one who started it all, correct? Tell me a little bit about your father's role and what his legacy was in the business. And if he were here today, what do you think he would think about, your Instagram and TikTok page?
Yeah. So yeah, my dad's bought the store in 1976. He actually had a Chrysler store prior to that, and ended up buying this. Used to be called Mejian Chevrolet. And he bought it from Mr. Mejia in 1976, and then, was able to build this great, legacy here in the store. And I'd say kind of like a man of the people, always wanting to give back, wore his heart on his sleeve, and, always just wanted to help people, no matter who it was, a customer that walked in, someone that walked by with no shoes on, a customer, whatever the case might be. He was always there to help, and always had a lot of empathy. And we try to carry that on with our employees, and same thing here in the dealership and with the community. So that's kind of how we lead first, because it's not really selling first. It's about like caring about people first at that point. And that's kind of how, his legacies kind of carried on. And he always told us to like, have faith. And his quote was like, be your own hero. So he kind of was like, don't look up to all these celebrities. Don't look up to actors or anybody else, athletes. He's like, look, do it yourself. So, because that's just kind of his motto for my sister and I, or my siblings and I, kind of growing up, and that's kind of what we live by. And yeah, it's just been a fun ride, and we miss him dearly. Unfortunately, he passed in 2019 to cancer, but we've all been able to stay strong, and we have a strong family unit and base. And like even the day after he passed, like we were all here in the store. So it's like, keep running, and that's how he wanted it to be. And we're fortunate that even during COVID and going through everything that we've been able to come out of all that and do well. And now it's just full speed ahead. So I think he'd be pretty excited. He did engage with Instagram, or see, because my sister's an influencer, like beauty and fashion and stuff like that. And so she started building that out. And so he would watch her content and all that kind of stuff, and was happy for her as she was like building it up. So I think he'd be hopefully be proud of what we've been able to build here. But yeah, all started with him, and it's all thanks to him and God that we're blessed to be in this position. So yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And I say this because I think this has a double meaning. As an old school car guy, there's old school car guy, like sleazy Foursquare car salesman. But when I say old school car sales guy, it's the guy who valued customers and worked and showed up to work every day and would shake customers' hands and look them in the eyes and thank them for their business, and would do anything, pull a car out of service to get their car in because they bought it from him. It sounds like your dad was exactly the emulation of like a real old school car sales guy who took care of people. And I could see that he instilled those values in you as well.
Yeah, no, he did. And even during his his cancer kind of treatment, he would go to chemo treatment at USC, and it was only like 10-15 minutes from here. And then he'd drive in with my mom. And then I remember seeing him outside greeting customers, like talking to them. And I knew he's exhausted, but going out, and like the fact that he did that, I was like, okay, if I'm tired today, I can't be tired, right? So if he's out there, greeting customers and everything else. So yeah, that's how, that's just how he was, and personable, and always wanted to help people and everything else. So like I said, we just want to make sure to carry that on, So
yeah, that's really, really inspiring. I'm sure he'd be extremely proud of you and your family and everyone that's helping build this business. Has the business been growing since you guys have started the social media? I mean, has it kind of been on an uptick?
Yeah. Yeah, we've been fortunate that sales have been very strong, and we've been lucky to win Dealer of the Year for Chevrolet. Like this is our 8th time now, 7 years in a row. So we've been able to keep that growth, and it's just been exciting and very fortunate.
Well, congratulations. That's really exciting. I'm sure there's a lot of Chevy dealers. I don't even know them. How many Chevy dealers are there? I mean, I'm sure there's a ton.
Yeah, there's like 2,900 Chevy dealers in the country. So the Dealer of the Year goes to like the top 60 over the 5 regions. Yeah.
Wow, that just screams how well you guys conduct yourself. Because to anyone listening, that isn't just based on sales. That's based on everything. Parts department, service department, satisfaction, surveys. I mean, that is like that just
yeah.
top to bottom.
Yeah, they have their benchmark, CSI, and everything. So yeah, it's not just volume. You still got to take care of the customer, and we have a great team, even fixed ops. Like it wouldn't be possible without all of them. So
now, speaking of Chevy, on our call last week, you said that Chevy was really supportive of what you got going on at your dealership and the social media side of things. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm fortunate to be represent the dealer body here in the West, and on the National Dealer Council for Chevrolet. So, it's been like an honor to serve, on the council, because I'm, the voice of the dealers to Detroit and the Chevy leadership team. And so they've kind of caught on, and I've been on for 3 years now, and they've seen like our social media grow. And with Scott Bell and Steve Majoris and Mike McPhee, like we have an awesome team, and couldn't have a better team to lead Chevrolet right now, and especially with this EV transition and everything. And it's been cool talking to their marketing team. And even I got invited to go out to Detroit and kind of go over like social media, our kind of social media strategy earlier in the year. And that was really cool to have that experience there, to sit down and kind of like see their vision, and then kind of like give my 2 cents as far as like where they could go with this from a tier 1 perspective, and how to build that. So that was really exciting to just sit in the room with them, chat, kind of go over that, and really like have them in tune and listening. So that was awesome. Like, as far as from an automaker perspective, there's always that like dealer factory, you kind of hear where they're like butting heads. But, it's been very like collaborative, and they have like an amazing team. I couldn't speak more highly to them. And just having that time with them one-on-one was like awesome. And I hope they took it to heart like I did. And they're doing a great job, building on that social, not only just Chevrolet but General Motors as a whole.
So you have basically the manufacturer reaching out to you like, "Hey, Rob, what are we doing wrong? What can we do better? We love what you're doing." Because I can say
Yeah,
I
and just
don't even think I follow Chevy's Instagram page, but I follow yours. So it's like,
yeah, appreciate it. But yeah, they're it's cool because like with Chevrolet, like the strong history that we have, and not to be like plugging Chevy, but like that Americana and apple pie and Chevrolet and that strong brand identity that people
yeah,
have grown up with. Like it's cool having that, and now seeing that morph, and like with all of our new products, but still having that great legacy, and not just like the upstarts of like the Rivian and the Teslas that have been around a few years, not over 100 years. So we have the expertise and know-how, and like I said, we have the team that's in place that's like really coming up with like what are the right ways to market to this next generation or new generation, and it's always thinking ahead.
Now, does this also help your dealership just being on the map with Chevy? Like if something new or there's a pilot, like are you kind of like at the forefront of those new technologies or vehicles or anything that Chevy has going on? Has this kind of helped get you first in line for some of those opportunities?
Sometimes I wouldn't say for everything. There's like certain cases, like now we're offering mobile service. So
Uh-huh.
being able to go to your home and everything else, and we're getting that started, getting that going. And so like, yeah, we are one of the first in that aspect, but yeah, it's not on like every project with like, Rob, what do you think? But
Yeah.
it is cool that like they still are, being on the council, we're dialed in on all that of like, where can we assist, where can we help? Because when you're in Detroit, I want to say ivory tower, but you can only see so far. Like if this is going to work, I'm sure like in your story, if Lincoln launched something, and then you're like, well, wait, I'm on the front lines. We need to kind of tweak this a bit, right,
Mhm.
to make it better. It sounds good on paper, but then once you implement it, it's like, does this really make sense? Does it make us more efficient? And does at the end of the day help the customer? So what's
Mhm.
cool is like being in the room, we can kind of go and say, hey, let's like look at this, because you don't want to shoot and then aim, right? You want to aim and then shoot. So it's kind of like being able to take our input and then see how we can refine things and make them better, not only for the dealer body, but then for the customer.
Agreed. I wish Lincoln would reach out to me because I could help them with their social media. They're not the best at it. I think
Yeah.
and I think it's funny because they've actually never reached out to me for anything, which
Mm,
I got to be the most followed Lincoln salesperson in the world. I mean, I know that for sure. I'm one of the most
yeah.
followed car
Well,
salesmen in
Lincoln, if you're watching, get Russ on there.
general. Yeah, and it's funny because I'm reaching the people they want to reach. My demographics are all 25 to 40-year-olds. So
Yeah.
say what you want about my content. Maybe it doesn't fit Lincoln's style, but I don't know that I'll leave it there. I'll leave it at that. This isn't about
I'm
that.
sure they'll call soon. I'm sure they'll
Yeah,
call soon.
we're working on getting in touch with them because I believe it or not, Chevy actually reached out to me and asked me to drive a Tahoe for a month completely for free and do a paid ad, and I said no because I'm a Lincoln man. I said no.
Yeah. There you
So
go.
I,
You got to
I
hold,
am I'm
hold
loyal to
strong.
them, but that money talks eventually. So
Yeah. I don't know. I could see you and Matthew McConaughey in an ad.
oh man, that'd be my dream come true. So, back to your social media platform and the ads that you're running, it's obviously high level production. You
Hmm.
have three actors, you have a director, you have producers, you have people posting this for you. There's some costs involved. Like, we don't got to reveal to the
Hmm.
world how much you're spending on all of this, but there are costs involved. Do you
Hmm.
think this is necessary for dealerships to be doing at this level, or is this just because of how your brain works? You said your right brain and you want it to be perfect. Is this just how you want it done, or do you think this is the benchmark and standard for how dealerships should be producing content?
Yeah, I guess I'm a Virgo, so I'm very like detail oriented. So like if I can up production a little bit and it's not gonna cost an arm and a leg, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Mhm.
And to be honest, because I've had numerous dealers come up and ask me and everything else, how that works. But it's really, finding, you really just need a videographer. But even before even that, I started shooting it on my iPhone, just like I know you did.
Mhm.
So that's how it really started, when we went on this venture. And it's like, you don't need to spend all this money. And if anything, the customer base does like more raw, organic kind of like footage, like, yeah, shot on your phone by yourself and all that kind of stuff. But there's both ways of kind of how you're going to look at it. Some audience is going to lean into that more. Some might want something that's a little more highly produced. But yeah, highly produced doesn't mean that it's going to get the views and it's going to hit with the customer base and it's going to go viral. To me, it's really, what are you telling? Like, what's the storyline? What are you doing to grab their attention? Really, more so than the quality of the production. But it does help, and my team's done a great job, building it out. And we're a family-owned single point, so we're not an auto nation. We're not throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars at this. It's just going in and finding out, sitting down with your management team, figuring out your customer base, what's going to resonate with them, because a Porsche customer is not a Chevy customer, right?
Mhm.
So it's really like finding that out. Just like I mentioned earlier about Brett David in Miami, he sells Lamborghinis, Audis, all this stuff, right? So that's an aspirational brand. And then when we chatted, then I'm like, okay, how do I bring that down to our true, like, hardworking, blue collar workers that buy Chevrolets, that buy a Silverado? I mean, Chevy's awesome because we have like a $23,000 Chevy Trax all the way up to, like, coming out the new ZR1, which they haven't released pricing on, but we have a $150,000 Z06 Corvette.
Mhm.
So I can cover, like, the customers, through their whole life cycle of, like, vehicles all the way
You
through,
can
right?
sell everyone a car, really.
Yeah, so that's how we had to break it down. And then, like, slowly, as we kind of started from beginning with me shooting on the iPhone until now, it's been a transition. So yeah, I don't tell every dealer, like, oh, you have to jump in and get a team and do this and do that. Now, if they want to, because they don't have the manpower in the store, then I say, yeah, do it and find the right agency that's going to represent you. And I have a great team in Maven managed, that's helped, and they work with other dealerships as well, guiding us and everything. But it starts with the dealer or the GM. They have to, and then if they are a little bit old school, they have to be able to let the reins go, not micromanage, and let them
Yeah.
kind of run within reason. Like, they got to have final cut or final say, but they need to just kind of tinker with this. And I bet you if they go down to their porters, technicians, sales consultants, all that stuff, they're going to find ideas. And even too, our consultants and our employees have given us ideas for content too. So it doesn't just come 99% from me and Derek and Mia. It comes from our staff as well. So that's been, like, the fun part of getting them engaged. But yeah, literally, you just need an iPhone. Like, you don't need to go spend thousands and thousands of dollars. And to be honest, once you start looking, because I've seen photographers and videographers out there, you can do it very minimal as far as investment wise.
I wonder if because I work at a family-owned dealership too. So if there's ever like a question about what I'm doing, it's a meeting in the back, real quick. Do you think what allows us to move at the speeds we do and develop so quick is because we're both come from single family-owned point dealerships versus if you work for Auto Nation, and say you were the GM, not the owner, and they're like, and your higher ups like, well, Rob, that's a great idea. Let's meet on that in 3 Tuesdays. Does that sound fair? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like, just like, do you feel like that you could just move at a quicker speed because you are just one store, you're calling the shots, like, let's go.
Yeah, pretty much, because you're not going to have that red tape. And I haven't worked in a corporate environment, so I can't, speak for Auto Nation and Lithia, all those groups and stuff. But, you would think as an outsider, they're going to have to go through more hoops and check with, the HR department and check with everybody. Can we do this? Can we,
Yeah.
right? You're going to have these levels to go to. Versus me, like, I've been out there one time, we were shooting something. I was like, oh, we should do this. And I literally pulled out my phone, shot it, edited on my phone, and I sent it to the team to post.
I love it.
So, like, we've done that stuff. And yeah, I don't need to, mind you, yes, I work with my brother and sister when we're doing stuff, but for the most part, it's pretty
There's some
seamless
trust
and
there.
very easy. Yeah.
My new manager came from a pretty big organization, and he was like, "So how do we go about getting uniforms? Is there like an online portal? Do I email HR?" I go, "No, watch this. Hey, Mr. Biani, can we get new uniforms?" He's like, "I don't care. Get me one." And then we just order new uniforms.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's pretty, I don't want to say lackadaisy, but it makes it easy, like I said, in our environment
absolutely.
to get things done.
So I mean, I think everyone kind of knows, like, okay, you can do this with an iPhone. Yes, you want some charismatic people. You could bring that in. Maybe you have it. Maybe you don't, and you just roll with what you got for the time being. But I mean, what
Mhm.
do you think is really holding back other dealers from making their own content? And what advice would you have for them? If you're in Rob's market and you're a Chevy dealer, don't listen to this advice because we don't want to make you any better at it.
Yeah. I think really it's just, like, not being scared to jump in and take the risk, because dealers spend a lot of money on media and everything else to bring customers in. So just another avenue. And it's like, don't overthink it. Just take the plunge. and then like, yeah, find the right team, find the right agency, the right people to help you play in that. Because I think a lot of times they just don't know how to play in the sandbox because they never engage with social. Nothing to dealers or offend them or anything, but most of them are older. They've worked hard their whole lives. They were able to buy in. Now they're in their late 50s, 60s, 70s, and now they're looking for that next, maybe their legacy kind of coming through now, but they need to kind of hand the reins off a little bit. And it's hard because when it's your baby and the business that you built, of like giving some of that control away. And it's kind of like, well, let your GSM or GM or sales manager or sales consultant, if someone that you identify in the store has it, then let them run with it. But I think that's kind of like the fear of the unknown because they've never engaged with it. Maybe their grandchildren, and I know this because they've told me their grandchildren engage with it, or they showed them a funny TikTok and it's just for little kids. And I'm like, no, because if you look at the engagement from 25 to 40-year-olds, it's way higher, right? Or it's been building the last 3-4 years. And even now it's even skewing higher now. That the amount of attention that it brings and awareness and the amount of people that are engaging with the content, even if they never post, they're going to have a page and they're looking through something that's going to make them laugh, something that may inspire them. They may do news. I catch myself reading a lot of news on Instagram. So I'm going through Bloomberg and different things. So it's not just there to like get a quick laugh. I'm engaging with like content or news or whatever is coming in on my feed.
Yeah, there's this one guy on TikTok. I can't even think of his name. It's like the algorithm's so crazy because there's people I don't follow, but they just come up. I'm sure you have guys like that. And like on my way to work, I just know he's going to be like the first video on my TikTok, and it's like a daily news video. And I kind of like, I'm not watching it. I swear I'm driving, but I do listen to that video. Like I'm not putting on the news on the radio. I'm not turning on Sirius Radio. I'm not putting on CNN, Fox News, whatever, MSNBC. Like I'm going to TikTok. I just feel like it's relevant to what I'm interested in. And to your point, this is really funny, Rob. So I have two owners at my dealership. The one owner, Lewis, who you may or may not have seen on my Instagram or TikTok before, bald guy. Maybe you've seen him once or twice on there.
Yeah.
He doesn't get social media, but he got it enough that he was like, I'm going to do it. And now he gets it. Like he watches videos. He doesn't even watch TV anymore. His brother, Wall Street guy, country club golfer, isn't going to go on TikTok, Instagram. And we've had this like back and forth the last couple months about like doing it for the dealership and really like investing in it and getting behind it. So he tore his rotator cuff, and we told him to be on Instagram and TikTok while he recovers. So for a month straight, he's just scrolling Instagram and TikTok. And now he's obsessed and loves it. And he's the guy that's like, hey, watch this video. Oh, this one's good. I mean, 2 months ago, we didn't even watch it. And now it went from he didn't really care for TikTok, wasn't sure if I was hurting the dealership's reputation, red tape, to, hey, Russ, I got a funny idea. You should do this one. Like this will be. Yeah. And I feel like to the guys that aren't really behind it, I would just say you're not consuming it. You're not in that world. I almost bet 1,000% because if you were in this world, you'd realize how powerful it is and how many people are using it to make a name for themselves and make money and make connections and build a brand that, I'm a guy from Pittsburgh. You're a single family owned dealership in Los Angeles. And here we are talking because of social media, It's like the connections and, we're going to be friends for as long as I'm alive.
Yeah, I think the first thing you could look at is like if you see running footage of a Porsche going by and it gets 1 million views, right? You can tell that it's like going to resonate with people, right? So it's like pretty easy to identify that. But mind you, every demo or age group, whatever, is going to engage differently. Some are going to be more in tune, like a car tuner guy is going to love that. But a stay-at-home mom's not. She's going to want to follow that. There's that mom car reviewer going car over mom. Like do your car seats. Yeah, car mom. Yeah. So right, they're going to engage. So there's all these personalities, just like YouTube with influencers. They've been able to build a stronger connection with the customer base than even like my own friend or neighbor or whatever. They're going to trust that influencer more, or Instagram or TikTok or more. And so it's I forget this, like there's a psychology term they came out with, but like they're going to trust you now more, Russ, right? Versus like their neighbor or their sister next door because you've built that connection with them, right? And that trust and everything else. And that's the same thing like we try to do. Yeah, we're going to maybe lean into comedy a little bit more, but at the same time too, like still have the family values. We'll deliver the car to your doorstep, make it very easy, seamless. And that's kind of been my RMO. And my brother's had our internet department since the 90s. He's the one that started it all. So, it's just keeping that going. But yeah, that's always been the kind of struggle convincing some dealers to like jump into it. But then once they engage in it, then it's like, oh, they love it.
Yeah, and I have found, and I don't know if your team's doing this at all. I have found for me, it has made me extremely well at talking on camera, and I will send customers videos all the time, like, "Hey Rob, thanks for stopping up last week. I still have this Lincoln Navigator here. It was just a blessing to work with you. If you have any questions about the car, give me a call." Or
Yeah.
we've actually started doing this too. I'm gonna give you a little hack here. This has been the most powerful thing we've done, and customers have just been blown away. We're sending customers videos after they buy the car a day or two later of like 6 or 7 people in the dealership, like just saying congratulations. So I'll go up to Mr. Biondi. He'll be like, "Hey, Mr. Biondi here. Congratulations on your new car, Rob. Welcome to the family." I get a couple sales guys. "Hey, congratulations, Rob. Love the color of your car." And then I'll jokingly, I do the same thing every time, but I'll have my brother be on the phone. I'll walk into his office. My brother will be like, "Wait, you want to buy 10 cars right now? Hold on, I got something way more important in front of me." And he like hangs up the phone real hard. And he'll be like, "Rob, congratulations on your new car. I'll stop whatever I'm doing at any time to take care of you." And it's like people have been blown away. And
Yeah.
even though that's not social media, just the whole recording, being on camera, immersing ourselves in that
Well, I
area.
think taking the time, yeah, taking that time to like show you care, right? And like appreciate their business.
Mhm.
Yeah, so our team hasn't done that. That's a great idea. So I'll have to take that back to the team. So
Yeah,
I love
still that
that
idea. It's
because you don't have that anymore. It's like, unfortunately, when you go to shop at a Best Buy or anywhere, you're a number, right? And I
yeah.
think like what we try to do here is like, no, we care your family, like you're part of our family. And doing those little steps, like even in the past, there's been customers that I've like, written thank you cards to and gave them Dodger tickets. So like I remember one customer so she could take her son to the game, always doing that kind of stuff. And I've told that to our sales team. It's like, you have to spend money to make money. So
Yes.
buying some like, and they don't need to be expensive. They don't need to be dugout seats, but like for that repeat customer or whatever the case is, and give them a nice, whether it's a Starbucks gift card for a cup of coffee, like here's your next cup of coffee on me. It's those little gestures that like that $5 or $10 with inflation now, that'll come back to you. So it's kind of like doing those kind gestures. That's really what's going to set you apart and have, keep that customer for life.
And not everyone thinks like I do. I know some people are selfish, but the majority of people are good people and want to do business with good people. And the
Yeah.
idea I just gave you, Rob, I actually stole. I bought a side by side through
Mhm.
Instagram chat, never even talked to the guy on the phone, from
Yeah.
Texas, shipped to my house. And in my mind, this was going to be just super transactional.
Yeah.
So once the deal's done, numbers agreed upon, the guy sends me like a 10-minute long video of him showing me every feature on the side by side. And I thought,
Wow.
wow, that was really nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Not like I'm going to bend over backwards or buy every side by side of this guy, but wow. And I was like, thank you. That was really cool. I'm glad you did that. Then he sends me a video of it getting picked up. "Hey, Russ, congratulations. You're the man. You need anything, we're here." Then the idea that I stole from him, he sent me, and I'm not even kidding, probably 35 different videos of every single person in their building saying congratulations and thanking me for doing business with his team. And I was blown away. I was like, I don't even know
Yeah.
what to say. Like, and I promised him, and he has my word. I said, "Dude, I'll never buy a side by side anywhere else. Like, I'm getting
Yeah.
everyone from you." Like, that was just, and not everyone thinks like that, but a lot of people do. And if you offer that high level of service, like you
Mhm.
just said, people are going to feel bad if they don't do business with you because of like, "Oh, I got to buy from him." I mean, I'd feel bad if I didn't. He's so great.
Yeah. Or they just feel valued,
Correct.
like instead
That's
of
a
being
better way of putting it.
transactional.
They just feel
Yeah,
so
they
bad.
feel valued instead of being like transactional. And I think that's what it's kind of gone now. Unfortunately, that was like an old school thing.
Mhm.
And I think now hopefully you'll see that resurgence come back because yeah, if you're spending a lot of money, people work very hard, and even like a $10,000 car, that's all they have. Like my dad instilled that in us too. I don't care if someone comes in with like $10,000, they're gonna buy a $150,000 car. Like we're gonna treat them all the same. And that's something that we like live by. And I remember one time we even had a customer come with no shoes, and he bought a brand new truck cash. So you can't judge a book by its cover, but I think when you go to that next step and next level, and you over deliver, people are going to remember that and take it to heart. And yeah, they're not going to want to go anywhere else. I even had a guy that moved out of state, and he's like, "Hey, I want to buy a car from you. Like, I got to trade in my car now." So,
I love it.
you're going to have that. And like, the way I can tell you take care of customers and you care, that's really what's going to make the difference. Cause people always ask me like, "Oh, how do you like sales?" And I'm like, well, I don't ever consider myself selling. I consider myself advising, because
Yes.
I want to make sure that I put them into the right vehicle for their family, for their lifestyle and everything else. Because if I try to push them, so they say, and car salesmen get a bad rap, but if I try to push them in a car, they're going to hate the experience. They're going to hate the car. I'm never going to get that customer back. So my whole thing is like, I rather take the time and go through the steps, the benefits of buying, leasing, whatever the case may be, and then help guide them through that process. And I think that's what's, kept us in the position that we're in today now.
No, I love it. And, final point about the whole video thing is, and I had this discussion with my brother. I go, when I first started in car sales, we were trained to write letters to customers.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost feel like sending a video has the same impact. Like,
Yep.
Wow, he took the time to write me a letter. Like, oh, wow, he took the time to send me a video.
Yeah.
And it just, obviously letters take 3 days to get there. And,
Yeah.
where videos, you're going to get it in 3 seconds and you actually get to hear. I think it's more powerful than writing somebody a letter if you get a personalized video, like not a cookie cutter, because some dealerships do like, happy birthday video. But if it's like, hey, Rob, happy birthday. It's August 12th. It's a great day. So happy for you. Enjoy that sunshine, brother. Hope you have the best day of your life. Like if you could, that's better than an email. I mean, these people send out cutter emails. I just think the video.
Well, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you shared that story. So
yeah, you gotta take it back to your team, man. It's a really cool way to do it. And I've found myself doing it for everything in life now. Like we're at church the other day. And my one buddy's like, oh, I thought your buddy was coming. I go, I don't think he could make it. He goes, text him. I go, I got you one better. Pull up my camera and we go, hey, Tanner, we're at church, man. You said you were coming. Where you at? And then everyone was like, Tanner, where are you? Like I send videos for everything nowadays. Like, I don't even unless it's like a meaningless text. Like I'm always sending videos because it's easier.
It's awesome. Yeah. I think plus you've grown into that you have the charisma, so it's easy for you. But yeah, it's good guilt tripping with the church one. I like that idea.
Yeah, it was. You go to church?
For my sister and my mom. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there you go. Especially if you can get like your pastor to be like, where you at? We're looking for you. We got a seat saved for you. Yeah. Like I'll send like videos that are like little skits almost.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Last question here, Rob. Then I'm going to let you get to work because I promised to keep this under an hour here. What are your social media goals for 2025? Is it views, likes, comments, consistency, having fun, or selling cars, a little bit of everything?
I mean, of course, I think always selling cars. That's always the North Star. I wouldn't necessarily say views, but we always want to keep growing, just like I'm sure you do. I don't have like that number in place. I just think as long as our customers are having fun and engaging with our content and enjoying it, that's really, what gets me excited or pumped up and everything else. So that's really the main thing. But of course, we want to keep setting those benchmarks and moving more cars and keeping that volume going. But I don't have a specific goal. I think my whole thing is like, how can we, on a side note, it's like, how can we start a trend, not follow a trend? It's like, what's something that we can always think about to come up with that's going to and it's not going to always work, right? It's hard to break into that.
Yeah.
But if the algorithm loves you and it sees your consistency, you might be able to do that. So those are, kind of a small goal of mine. It's not the North Star, but like a small goal of mine, like, how do you come up with something that's going to trend versus like just following somebody else's, which nothing wrong with it. That's how we've been able to grow too. And I'm sure maybe you've done some here and there. And it makes it fun. Right. But I would say like, selling cars always, and then keeping that engagement, keeping that pipeline coming in.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's a simple goal, but it's the execution is going to take a lot of details and attention to the process and procedures. And it sounds like you guys kind of have it all down pat. I mean, you can just look at your numbers that they speak for themselves on how well you guys are doing on social media. I would imagine the most followed car dealership on Instagram and TikTok. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think if you combine the two, like TikTok, Instagram, I have to kind of funnel through. I know there's some other dealers that have.
That Nissan dealership was doing okay, Century Houston Nissan, but they, with all due respect, kind of fell off very hard. I was watching their stuff recently, and
I think too, because if you're just doing viral stuff, right, like it's only going to go so far. I think with us, with the show that my Derek, my buddy's written, and the team's been a part of being able to build that arc, we still having people coming back because they want to see the next episode. So we've been doing that for like over a year now. And we've already had, I think it's our 22nd episode now. I think 23rd is going to be coming out. So it's like, since we have that arc and the storyline, and what's cool is like, and I didn't share this earlier, but like We've incorporated Dodger baseball players. We've incorporated USC football players this year. So like, I take it that one step further of like not just keeping it all about cars and in the store. It's always around cars, but like being able to feature different people, athletes, different people that we have influencers. That's what I think makes it fun too, and separates us from other dealerships, kind of what they're doing, because I don't see any stores going that far. We've even done road trips. We did a road trip to Arizona for spring training for James Altman, who plays for the Dodgers. We went to Big Bear with the girls and did a video about Z71 Suburban. So we've been able to like do these really cool pieces and really take it out of the store. All-Star game. I can go down the list of the things that we've been able to do. So that's what keeps it fun and engaging. And I think where our viewers or customers keep kind of coming back.
I love it. And I'd love to be one of those influencers that maybe gets the opportunity to be in one of your guys' videos one day.
Yeah, we'll see. We got to get you here to LA. So
I love it. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, Rob. Hang out with me a little bit here after I end this, just so we can let everything download. To anyone listening, I mean, I'm just going to keep saying it, but you got to be on social media. It's going to change your life. Unless you're selling 40, 50 cars a month and you're like, I don't have time, there's no excuse. If you're a 15, 20 car a month guy, you need to be on it. If you're a dealership and you're not selling as many cars as you want, and I don't think there's one dealership in America that's like, we're selling too many cars. You got to be on it, because it's just going to help you in all avenues. Any final thoughts to add to that, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, that's just the name of the game. All the attention's going there, and you hit the nail on the head that you got to be playing there. You could spend $1 million a month on TV. It doesn't mean that it's going to drive you traffic. So it's just, finding the right messaging, the right team, right strategy, and like finding what's going to work for you. Don't try to you can copy, but it's like find what's going to fit your market, your niche, your demo. But just like you said, just make the time. Everyone says I don't have time, but they do have time in your day to make it happen. My dad always said 8 hours of work, 8 hours of sleep, and 8 hours of play. So you have the time in between to make it happen. So yeah, no, I just thank you for letting me be on the pod, and it's been awesome seeing you grow and what you've built. And I just, now the sky's the limit for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Rob.